back to the 3P podcast, everybody. I'm your host, Darnell Turner. On today's episode, we have a special guest. We have Thaddeus Halstead. I've watched his journey on Instagram, and I just reached out to him. I said, "Yo, we gotta have a conversation." So, welcome to the podcast, man. How you doing today?
Man, appreciate you having me, man. Doing really well. Excited to do this. Never done a podcast before.
Wow,
So
so it's your first. Cool, cool.
yeah.
I'm happy. I'm happy to have this conversation with you. Um, let's just jump right into it. How did you get started into endurance sports?
Uh, well, I was one of the people that kind of got started during COVID, like when there was really nothing else really to do. Like everyone's just kind of got locked in the house and kind of trying to figure out what what you can do, what you're allowed to
Right.
do, and then um, I've always been into sports, into fitness, and so working out was kind of already ingrained in me. But I went from basketball primarily, and I had some injuries, so doing the contact and impact sports wasn't really going to be possible for me anymore, and just got into a rabbit hole kind of on YouTube. I think the Olympics was on back in that time frame, and started looking into like cycling, and then I think I saw triathlon on TV, and just kind of first thing I did was buy a bike. I got a cheap road bike on Facebook Marketplace.
Right.
Started riding that. Started looking into some cycling races, like Legion, watching those guys on YouTube, and then kind of wanted to put everything together and got back in the pool. Just kind of slowly started swimming and to pull the trigger, signed up for my first race in the fall of 2021, and
Wow.
been doing it ever since.
So you already had a background in swimming, like you swam before?
I took lessons as a kid, but that was more of just like water safety and like how to survive. And then in college, I actually did ROTC because
Okay.
I was gonna go to the military. So we did like some basic water stuff then, and I would go swim swim some laps at the pool, but no, never got any formal swim training or any lessons like that. Other than the basics, it's all been self taught, and
Wow.
yeah, and that I was able to learn a little bit from that, and make some pretty big gains, but you kind of hit a plateau. You can only get so good doing it that way, but so now I have a coach, and now it's really
Right.
just taking it to the next level.
Yes, I think that I was just telling my friend, and actually the last podcast I did, it's like 2020 birthed this new athlete that we've never seen before. This athlete that came out of like nowhere and just started like crushing it and doing marathons, doing triathlons, and um and it really that year made you realize that how much we were leaving on the table. So take me to that first race, man. Like your first race, you're finally doing it. Like you said, you're not like you don't have a background in like in swimming, or you've done it before, but you don't have like you're not like an Olympic swimmer. Like most triathletes, they've competed in swimming. And
Hmm.
usually swimming is the hardest part. Like everybody can ride a bike, maybe you can ride a bike, but and you can run, but I find that swimming is the kind of the hardest part, and it's the first part. So take me to like the start line. Were you nervous to get into the get swimming? Like how did you feel?
Um, well, every race I go to, there's always that little feeling of nervousness, but I think that's just nerves, like anxious to get started. But so for the first race, I want to say the swim was like 500 yards or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Nothing. I mean, it's long, but it's doable. Like you could visually see the course, and it was up in Connecticut. We're swimming in I think it's the Sound, the Long Island Sound. So it was like kind of choppy, but I knew I knew that if anything went wrong, I knew I could just do like the breaststroke if I got tired
Okay.
from doing freestyle. Freestyle, that's what I tried to do the whole time because it's faster, it's more efficient. But I knew if got too tired or whatever, I knew I could just float. I could tread water, catch my breath, and just make my way. Even if I had a doggy paddle, I knew I could just keep moving forward.
Right.
And so that was a mentality. It was just like, hey, do my best, um, and I'll get through it. But like you said, swimming is definitely the hardest part. A lot of the greatest swimmers, they've been swimming since they were 4 and 5 years old,
Right.
and for us to try to learn that as an adult, we're already at a disadvantage just because it's so technique based. Like you said, we can all ride a bike. If you want to go faster on the bike, just push harder.
Right.
If you want to run faster, just move your legs faster, push off harder. But swimming, you can't do that. You can actually swim harder and end up slowing down if you don't have the right technique. So it's totally different. You have to have a totally different mindset. And so for that first race, I was just gonna just get it done.
It's amazing because when I first started triathlon training and just trying to get in the water, I had so much of a tough time that I got my son into swim school. Like, so he's 8 now. He's been doing this since for the last 2 years, and I'm like, you're going to know how to swim because I've started at age 30 to try to swim, I think
Mm-hmm.
yeah, age 30, 31, and it was like every time I got into the pool, it was like my wife was like, "How did your swim go?" I was like, "Well, I'm alive still, so I guess it was great. I guess it worked out."
Exactly. Yeah, you gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, yeah.
It's no joke though.
So take me to, now you get out the pool, now you're on the bike. How did you feel? Like, I mean, you survived the I mean, not the pool, but you survived the water.
Yeah.
You're on a bike. How take me.
Oh, I mean, coming out the water, it might as well have been the finish line because I knew, I
It
knew
was
I could make
over.
it.
It was a
Yeah, I knew I
wrap.
could make the rest. Yeah, so that was just a huge confidence boost. I feel like the worst was over, and from then on, it's easy. You just got to ride a bike. I think that my first one was like, I don't know, I think it may be 10 miles
Okay.
or something like that. It was real quick. Like I said, I had my road bike. And that was my first time seeing like how, like what the high end triathlon bikes really look like, and they even sound different when they're going past
Right,
you.
right,
And
right.
that's like seeing people crouched over in the aero bars with these massive helmets that are just fully aerodynamic. And then there was even other people there like riding mountain bikes or just regular beach cruisers.
Right.
So you got to see all kind of stuff in my first race. Um, I was clipped in. I'd figured out how to do that. I had a few falls during training,
Oh yeah.
but I figured it out. I had no issues on race day, and just went out there and did my best on that first one.
Nice, nice. So of course, so it was like a sprint
Yeah,
that race,
I think it was actually like a super sprint, a
super
little
sprint.
a little
Okay,
bit shorter. Yeah,
okay. So now you finish, or of course you have your run, you finish. When did that bug hit you? Because I always tell people there's a triathlete or there's a marathon runner that trains and they knock it off their bucket list. They're like, I've done it, and then they're over. And then you see them all the time in the gym. You see the guy with the finisher shirt from like 92, but
yep,
they're
yep.
like out of shape. And you know what I'm saying? You're like, oh, the bug didn't bite you the way it bites others. What was it about finishing that first race that was like, this is what I'm doing now? I got to keep going.
I think it was the change in lifestyle that came with it. The race, it's fun. I love to race, but the 3 months plus of training that goes into it, leading into the race, is what I really enjoyed. Like felt healthier again. My weight went down. I was having better habits. Like on work trips, I would be working out instead of going to the bar, drinking and eating. I would go to the gym or go for a long run, and it just created better habits for me, and I felt better. And racing is kind of just the cherry on top.
Yeah.
So I plan on carrying that as long as I can. Like this last race I did Sunday, they announced some guy coming out of the water. He was 80.
Yes. Look, so I got a quick interesting story, right? So 2020, I'm out there. I get my first road bike. I actually got because all the bikes were sold out, so I got a women's road bike, and it was a Swin. Like, it was a terrible bike, but I mean, I was like, it's my first bike. It was my first experience. Cool. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm out on a trail, and I'm pushing, and I'm thinking yeah, nobody can mess with me. Man, this 80-year-old dude comes by on a road bike, and he's just casually talking to me like, yeah, how's it going? You doing good? All right. And then
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, all right, man. And then he was like, all right, see you later. And he just like went, and I'm like, dude, I'm going hard. Like, I'm going my hardest. And he just drifted off.
He's
And it's like, I think that's when I started realizing that. And I think that's when I got a lot of the courage to say, I can do this for a long time, because you see
mm-hmm.
it. You see
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people doing it. And I think that, I always say this about, you know, you don't see a lot of black people in the endurance space or the endurance sports, because I think in NFL, we always look at sports in NFL years or college years, or whatever sport we're in, because at 25 you're an old man in the NFL. At
Right.
25 you're an old man in the NBA.
Right.
And in endurance, you're just beginning. You could be 40 years old, and I mean, you got someone like Lionel Sanders, who is an older person, but he's still competing at the highest level. And a lot of those pro triathletes are very, except for the Super League, a lot of the Ironman pros are older.
Yep. Yeah. Look at the Jan.
Yeah,
He just won. What is he? 40s.
right.
Killing him. So
So yeah, it's like it's so different. You see that difference, and I think that's what I love about this sport. And I love I love the representation. Like, when I always, like, I'm always on Instagram, and if I see one of us doing it, I'm like, let me follow this person and see how they're doing. And it's like, and it's inspiring. It's inspiring because it's representation. Like, I just love to see it.
yeah, yeah, me too, man. There's not a lot of us in there. So when you do see one of us, it's definitely inspiring and relatable, really,
Right.
to see that we can really do that. Because you can turn on NBA, NFL, it's majority black athletes, but
Yeah, but most
endurance.
of us can't dunk. I can't dunk. So
I don't think I can dunk anymore either. I haven't even tried. But yeah, it's you can definitely go a lot further for longer. That's like the definition of endurance, right?
yes.
You just do it forever. And I think the amount of training that slowly you put in just pays dividends later on. Like in endurance, the training you did last year is still like in your bank.
Right.
You can still use that for this current season, and
Yes.
you literally get better and better and better.
No, I completely agree. So one thing, I was looking on your page, and I seen something cool, because like this is what I love about seeing married couples, right? You and your wife did a marathon, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how did you get your wife to do it, or did she come to you with it? Like, how did this work out?
No, she did not come to me with it. She, I would beg her just to come around the block. She's an athlete too, but she's more into like lifting weights.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever heard of F45, but it's
Yeah.
like a like a hit workout.
Right.
She loves doing that, but back then she wanted nothing to do with running, and I would just say, just I got a 3 mile run. Just come with me for the first half mile out, and then you turn around and go back. That'll be a mile. Please, please, please. And she would do it apprehensively, and then I would push her a little further, and she'd be like, how much further are we going? This is ridiculous. I didn't. You said 1 mile. Why are we still out here? It's 1.2. And she would just get so mad, and I would always tease her after we got done, like, oh, do you regret it? That wasn't so bad. You did it. You didn't think you could do it. And I think slowly over time, I don't know what the exact moment was, but now she loves it. She signs up for races all the time.
Wow.
She just did a half marathon like 2 weeks ago
Wow.
by herself. I didn't even do it with her.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, she's already looking for one. So, yep, she comes with me like on all most of my like long easy runs. We try to do together like on Sundays.
Okay.
It's nice and chill conversation pace.
Yeah.
I think that helped too, like helping her saying slow down. You don't have to run, max effort every
Right.
time. You can go out and jog and just listen to music, listen to podcasts. We talk, and I think that's made it even more enjoyable.
I because I got my wife to do. She did a turkey trot. She did a 5K, and it was like it's funny because she started off just like that. She started off with just kind of like, I don't like this. I don't like this. And towards the end, she's like, I can actually see the benefits. She
Yeah,
she had kind of like knee issues, and she had like plantar fasciitis, and towards the end, she was actually feeling better. And I think a lot of people don't realize it's like you do have injuries or you do have things, but some of those are from being sedentary. It's
yep,
not necessarily, you got bad. Most people just like, oh, I got bad knees, but it's like because you're not moving.
yeah. You're gonna lose.
Sometimes when you get moving, you start to feel better. I tell people all the time, you're going to, if you move, you're going to lose weight.
Yep.
The diet comes along with it, but if you get moving, if you get into that zone 2, like zone 2 is the best way to lose weight.
Oh
You
yeah.
can stick in zone 2, you'll lose weight. That's how
Facts.
it goes.
Yep.
But also, you know, I always love the fact that she's done a 5K, because now when I'm out on my runs, she knows you know what I mean? Like she knows like
Yeah.
what it's like to run. So it's like it's kind of easier to relate for conversation. So if I have a bad run, she understands because she had a bad run before. So
Yeah.
you're not coming home just being a grump. And
Right.
she's like,
Right.
oh,
Yeah.
I can kind of
Kind of
understand
been
what
there.
you're. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point too. That definitely helps too. Like, and it helps. I don't know, justify, for lack of a better word. When you're going out,
You're
like, oh,
right.
I got to go run for 2 hours.
Exactly.
Making those time sacrifices.
Yeah.
Kind of get it.
Yeah, because and especially like for me, I haven't. So I've every time I got into a triathlon training block, I had to drop out either due to injuries or something coming up. So I'm still looking forward to doing my first triathlon, but I've been in marathon training for the last 4 years. So I've always tried to like play both sides. I'll be training for a triathlon, but I still
Mm-hmm.
get my marathon training in. And one thing I'll say about triathlon training is way different, because there's times where you got to run and bike in the same days. You got your brick runs. You got to
Mm-hmm.
find a pool
Yep.
somewhere, and then
Yep.
in the hours you got to find a lane. So maybe you're up in the morning, maybe you're out in the evening. So it's like it's a little different time wise. So you like you said, justifying that to your wife and being like, hey, I don't know if we could really have a set time to go have dinner
Yeah.
tonight
Oh
and work.
yeah. Yeah. It's a juggling act for sure. And I know I'm not the best time manager. So a lot of times I might just say that I'll be done at 3 o'clock,
Right.
and 3:30 rolls around and I'm just getting out of the pool or something.
Right.
But that's my New Year's resolution, to get a little better at time
Time
management.
and for
But
s- for people whose lives surround around running a race in a specific time, we are very bad at time management.
I know, yeah. That's hilarious.
So tell me, what do you have planned for the rest of this year? Like what races do you have coming up? And how has endurance, other than just starting to do it in 2020, how has it added to your life? How has endurance added to the way you see life?
I think I've just created better habits now, like as far as my health and how I view kind of everything really. I mean, it might sound weird, but like I kind of base a lot of decisions on is it going to help me race better? Whereas before I didn't really think long term consequences about stuff, like mainly my diet,
Ooh.
you know, and especially like alcohol and junk food. I think that's it sounds simple, but I think that really has some long lasting and positive effects on what I do and how I carry out my day to day.
Oh, I completely agree. It sounds minimum. So here's the interesting thing, because I find that in everybody that I talk to, it's usually like I have to change up my diet, and I had to stop drinking alcohol. And it's funny because we look at it as being like, well, duh, like you can't, I mean, you have a lot of people that still drink and they still eat terribly, but in the same sense, it's like that those decisions of going out, right? You're like, all right, man, I'm gonna go out with my boys, but then some days you usually got a long run. I could, like,
Yeah,
I've tried to go out and then run 14 miles the
it's
next
not
day.
not
It
worth it.
hurts.
Yeah,
It hurts a lot.
it's not worth it.
you know, and most people have problems with even just taking the little goos on with stomach problems. So now you're running the next day and you carb loaded on chicken wings and French fries,
Hmm.
and you're putting these goos in your body. It's like no wonder why you're in the porta potties or you know during your runs, or you're stopping by the nearest Starbucks to go use their bathroom. So it's like those are the things that come natural to us, because you're like, I can't I can't train well and I'm in the bathroom every 10 minutes.
Yeah, you can't do it, man. It's you kind of get like almost and like when I first changed it, I kind of felt selfish almost. Like I don't want to go out because I know I have this the next day, but meet you for brunch after,
Right.
you know, you know. But and I don't know. I just feel a lot better
Yeah.
doing it this way.
And you start to realize, like, and I've lost friendships. I've lost like relationships with like close people, and it's not necessarily like I don't like them or they don't like me anymore. It's just like we kind of don't do the same stuff anymore. So it's
Yeah,
just
you just
like,
don't do the same stuff anymore.
yeah, and I don't like sitting around drinking and having a blast and eating junk food was fun,
Yeah,
but
yeah, it
like
was.
reaching my goals, or like that high that you get from crossing the finish line and doing that training for 6 months and getting that reward, that's way better feeling, man. That's way better feeling.
Yeah, you just kind of come off of old habits, you know. And like you said, nothing wrong with it. That's fine too. And I still go out, every now and then, you know, but it's just way less
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, I mean, and now I'd rather go out with my wife and have a drink, and we chill out, and
Same,
I I, I got training tomorrow.
same here. Same.
So, yeah.
It's perfect, man.
What is so if you can tie down one specific habit that that you would say endurance or just marathon training, or anything. I know you mentioned being on time is something that you want to add into your life. Can you tie down one specific habit that you can say honestly adds value to your life that you learn from endurance?
Just being consistent
Ooh, that's a good one.
to see the results. You know, there's no there's no one hero workout during that training block. You know, you can't just do like one 8 hour ride and call it good. You gotta
Ooh,
really just put in each one more days in a row. And you got to be consistent with it,
I
and
like that.
that skill transfers to whatever you're trying to do, not just sport. If you want to, I don't know, whatever you're into. If you're trying to learn music, trying to learn a language, working on your business, working on whatever, trying to learn how to cook, you just have to do a little bit each day
Man,
and stay consistent. And
man,
that's how you really see the results.
man. So, all right. So this, I love that because one thing I will say is like that. So my last marathon training block, right? Um, I was having like my marathon was in October, and I was having like a tough time in November. It was like I could not get these workouts in, and I was like, I reached out to my coach. I said, "Man, I'm kind of like in a block," and I remember just thinking to myself like, "Don't worry about finishing in the time. How about we just finish?"
Mm-hmm.
And just adding on that block, like, so I had like it was like a long run, it was like at an 8 minute pace, and I think it was like an 8:15 or something like that pace, but I end up finishing in a 10 minute pace, right? And I remember getting done and I felt good because I actually did it. I actually finished it because
Mm-hmm.
I could have just packed it up and went home and said, I'll try again tomorrow. I'll just try again tomorrow. But I actually finished it. And I've noticed that just being consistent and, just putting those in the book, just saying, oh, I did it today,
Yep.
and I can focus on the next day. So I love that consistency aspect of it, because I feel like that's something that I had to learn the hard way, but I'm glad I learned it.
Yeah, that's every day. I don't know if you know David Goggins,
Yes, sir.
like how he talks about the cookie jar
Yes.
and like how each day you might not hit your goal, your specific goal, but you did something and you got it
Right.
done. That counts as a cookie. And so on race day, you have this cookie jar, or race day, or your presentation day, or whatever you're going to correlate it to. You just have all these mini successes that make up the jar,
Exactly.
and you don't just have one big ass cookie in there. There's all these little ones that make up the jar. And the only way,
Exactly.
only way to fill it is be consistent.
Exactly, man. I love that, and I love that mentality, and especially like David Goggins, man. I feel like he's so misunderstood by a lot of people. They just think he's like I mean, and he is a tough dude. He's a hard dude, but I just read his latest book, and there's a lot of layers to what he says. So you gotta read in between the lines when it comes to him. But
Yeah,
also, man, it's just it's empowering to know that um there's people like that out there. Because some
yeah,
of us need it. Some of
yeah.
us need it.
We do. Yeah, I gotta read. I gotta read the second one. I read the first one. I gotta get that second one.
Second one is really, really good, man. I actually, I guess it's cheating because I listened to it on audiobook, but it's
I
you,
guess.
you gotta realize too, one doing marathon training on triathlon training, you gotta learn how to multitask. So
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely.
I don't got
Definitely.
time to just be sitting there like this. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna
No,
put
I
these
can't.
headphones on and
I try to take out my music like a week or two prior because you can't race with it.
oh yeah,
But like 2 months before the race, I can't just. It's hard to just do a long ride with nothing.
with nothing.
I'd rather just have something.
Okay, so that's very interesting. So listen, okay, here we go. What I have a theory that training is really, really good with music, but it's something about taking your headphones out that turns you into a different person.
Mm-hmm.
So I spoke about my block, right? That mental block that I had. So one thing I did was for the rest of my training block, and it was only like for the rest of the month because, like I said, it was November. My race was in October 15th. So from the end of November all the way up to the race, I did no headphones. for the rest of the training. Like I just was every run that I did, every sauna session, every just kind of like zone 2, I just mentally checked in. And I did this thing where I asked myself questions, but I didn't answer them. Right. So I would just be like, I would just be running on the treadmill or running outside, and I'll just be like, who are you? Right. And I didn't answer it. I just wanted those questions because I knew some of those questions will pop up during the race. Right. Because those questions were like, why am I doing this? I always run into those questions. Like when I'm running, I'm like, what
Yeah.
is this? What is mile 16? You're like,
What?
I paid
Why?
for this?
Why are we out here?
Tell me like what's your experience versus like music and non-music? Like what's your experience?
um, I like I really like music. It kind of gets you in a rhythm, especially if it's fast, like on running, because I try to keep working on keeping a higher cadence. So you can actually go on like Spotify and type in like 170 BPM playlist, and it'll give you music that's at the proper beat.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of like it for that. And then also, it's a distraction. And something else I try to do, like with music on zone 2, because they say you should be able to talk on zone 2. So I try to like sing along, and I got probably people looking at me like I'm crazy, just running down the street singing loud. But that helps keep me in zone 2. It gives me something to do, it gives me something to think about because you're thinking of the lyrics,
Right.
like have that um, mental activity while you're tired. Um, and then without music, it's just I kind of really have to psych myself up for it. To be honest, it's not too hard. Like once I decide I'm gonna do it, I'll just do it. But it's I don't know. It's tough,
It's tough.
honestly. Yeah.
What is the mental dialogue? You always hear David Goggins talking about like sometimes I just stare at my shoes. um, what is that dialogue like? What is for me? I always tell people my story. So when I first started running, this was my and it kind of is it kind of ties back into it because when I first started running, my mental dialogue was, I don't know how much of my backstory but I was in 2017 I was 294 294 pounds, and I got on a treadmill and I started running, and my dialogue was, if my family needed me in 10 minutes, can I run a 10-minute mile? And so that dialogue that I've always had with me has always been like a just it's just something like in me that's like I had to put my why in there. What is that dialogue that kind of like that drives you? Because like you said, that music is not distracting you no more. So now you really like gotta talk to yourself and be like, I gotta go run. Like I gotta go
Yeah.
run 10 miles. Like no one else is doing
Yeah.
this but me today.
Mm-hmm.
So what is that dialogue?
I think for me, I just try to like tell myself to stop being emotional.
Mm.
It's like stop feeling sorry for yourself. You're out here. You're healthy. All you're doing is running. You're not really running from anything,
Mm.
and you're out here exercising. Like, what are you complaining about? You really have no reason to complain. So just enjoy it. Look around, see see what's going on around you. Enjoy the fresh air, because one day comes where, for all of us, you're not gonna be able to run anymore.
Right.
And I forget where I was listening to this on another podcast. I can't remember which one, but somebody was like, they tried to approach each session as if you were an older you
Mm.
coming back into like your younger body. Like, how
Wow.
would you do it? And
Wow.
I thought that was pretty insightful.
Wow. No,
You know.
I think that's cool. And I can relate to that because my last training block, it was like I had to switch my mind over to being like, I have to do this to I get to do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
You get
it was interesting because it's like when you really think about that, when you're running, you're like, oh, this is not like something like in the beginning of the podcast, like we said, it's something, it's inspiring because you do see those 80-year-olds doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those are the lucky ones. Those are, when in the face it, we're all lucky. If we're
Mm-hmm.
able to run, if we're able to do the things that we do, we are the lucky ones.
Yep.
So it's like to actually do that and be like, man, this is fun versus being like, oh, I got an 8-mile run today. Oh my goodness. And it's
Right,
like,
right,
there's some people that can't.
right. There's a lot of people that can't. There's even more people that won't. And you just got to think like, what would you be doing instead? Sitting around or doing some chores or something else? Like,
Eating snacks.
yeah, eating snacks. But I don't know. I
Wow.
try to keep it lighthearted. Out there, just think of a funny story that you heard, some jokes, make up a song, make up a story.
Don't take yourself so serious, is what you
Yeah,
say.
don't take it so seriously. Like, what are you doing? You're out here in your short shorts and you're running around. Or you're out here playing bikes.
Oh man, that's funny.
It's not that bad.
That's funny. No, I completely I agree with that.
Yeah.
So when we talk about music, so I always kind of do this towards the end of the podcast. Give me a song that gets you hyped up. What is your go-to song that gets you hyped up and ready to go?
Oh man. Oh man. One song?
Yeah, give me one. This is like if you had one, if you was trapped on a desert island and you had to run and you had to run 10 miles and you just needed to listen to one song to get you going. What is that one song?
Oh my god. Oh, put me on the spot. I'm so bad at music titles.
Okay.
I don't even know what songs are called. Um,
So what genre? What genre? Let's go that way.
that depends too. That depends on the
Okay.
mood. Like if I'm feeling a little angry,
Okay.
put some rap on.
Okay.
I'll probably go old school, some Cameron,
Okay.
some Meek Mill, Big
Okay.
Sean. Or if I'm feeling like in an upbeat mood, I'll put on like some Dua Lipa.
Oh man, my
Or
my EDM playlist is
yeah,
impeccable.
yeah,
I'm should be
some house
almost.
music. So it's I don't know. It's hard to pick one song.
So you're so you're like a Pandora guy. You just like I'm gonna just start, or you said Spotify. You kind of throw on
Yeah,
like a Spotify playlist. That's good too. It's like you're a
yeah,
genre. You just like you pick your genre and whatever, however you're feeling. That's
and just
how
go.
it's going.
Yeah,
I like that.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Um.
What about you? What's your song?
Me. My go-to song is "Viva La Vida" by Coldplay. For
Oh,
some
nice.
reason,
Yeah,
that song gets me going. Like I love that song, man.
yeah. That's some goosebumps songs right there.
Yes, man. Like
Yeah,
there's
it's
something
amazing.
about it. I used to rule the world, seeds would rise when I gave the word. Now in the morning I sleep alone, sweep the streets I used to own.
Mm,
That's
bar.
poetic.
Yeah, that's a
Because
bar.
it goes it's exactly what we talk about. I used to rule the world. I got to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Now in the morning I sleep alone and I sweep the streets I used to own. Like
Oof,
if that's not
oof.
if that don't get you going, I don't know what's gonna get you going,
Yeah,
man. You know what I
that's a
mean?
good one. That's a good one right
Oh
there.
man, that is my favorite song in the world, man. I
Definitely on
love
my list.
that song. I actually, me and my wife, that's how we kind of like we connected through Coldplay. Like we was like, oh, you like Coldplay? Oh, okay, cool. So we've like every time they go on tour, we go. We just went to one in like 2 years, I think 2 years back in New York, and
Mm-hmm.
then we try anytime they're here, we go. Man,
Wow,
we love
that's
Coldplay.
amazing. That's a
Yeah,
good one.
yeah, we
That's a
love
great song
Coldplay.
too.
Um, Also, so another thing. So tell me your best advice to someone getting into endurance. Like I said, 2020 has birthed this athlete, and 2020 and beyond. Now you see more people getting into endurance. Like we said, we see more representation. We see, more of us in the endurance space. Um, but not only just endurance, just movement. How do we get healthier? How do we get stay away from the alcohol? We're not saying don't drink, but we're saying you ain't got to drink all the drinks. So um, what is your best advice to someone that's looking to just get moving, get into the endurance space, and looking forward to changing their life?
I'd say just do it. Stop listing off excuses of why you haven't or why you won't or blaming why you can't or what hurts. I'd say just lace them up, and just go do it. Take that first step, because once you start, it's easier to keep going. You know that that initial push, from standing still to going, that's the hardest part. So once you kind of get going into a rhythm and start slow too. You don't have to go run 6 miles the first day. Just do a little bit. Go for a walk, even. Just get outside. Just commit to something really easy, and build upon that the plan. That's what I would say.
Man. And that's powerful. That's powerful because I think that was one of the biggest lessons that I've learned in endurance sports, and it took me about a year because every time I went out and ran, I remember my first year running, and I remember I focused on PRs every time, like because I started with the Nike app, so it was like, oh, this time you ran more, and this time you ran this far, it was so great, and then at some point it was just like, oh, I'm not getting praised no more because like I've met, I've got to like how good I'm going to get without a coach,
Hmm.
right? And then you start to be like, okay, that's when you get discouraged. But
Yeah.
then but now looking back on it, it was just like, oh, it was just time to move on to the next level in endurance, and that's getting a coach or learning about how to run, learning about zone two,
Yep.
um, breath work.
Yep. It's huge.
I didn't understand breath work. I was just like running, and
That's huge.
I would be tired the next day. Like recovery was hard. So
Yeah, that's huge. Because education. That's probably another good tip. Is learn about train smart, not hard. Because now there's so much information out to help you train smarter versus like you said you were 30, so we're close in age. Like growing up, you didn't hear anything about zone two or doing easy runs, playing sports or anything like that. It was just wind sprints all day, every day. There was no base training or anything like that. But now I think there's so much information out there, and for free. Like you can go on YouTube, people will tell you all about everything. I mean, obviously there's some bad information out there too, but
of course.
take everything with a grain of salt. There's a lot that you can do, set attainable goals, and avoid injury, that
Yes.
you can really get into it.
That's one thing I can honestly say. Um, the internet has helped me out so much.
Same here.
Um,
Same
just
here.
just learning. Like you said, there is bad information out there, but the onus is on you to do your own research and
Yeah. Cross
you know
check it.
exactly, and take everything. I tell people all the time, it's like, especially with your coaches, it's like, um I just switched from one coaching staff to another, and I tell people all the time, you're paying for the coaching. Don't
Oh
just
yeah.
take what they're saying and then like leave it. Like you had Training Peaks, everything is in there. Write it down. Like,
Hmm.
cross notes. You're when you get a new coach, or be like, hey, this is how my coach used to do it. This is how are we doing it now? And now you can compare notes, and all right, maybe this way is better, maybe this way isn't. You got to
Hmm.
know what you're doing, but you got to also know what's best for you, because everybody doesn't know what's best for you.
And when you have stuff like Training Peaks, you can go back and look at the data and
Yep.
see what worked and what didn't work, you know. And with as far as like the coaching, people gotta remember that you hired the coach. The coach works for you.
Right.
It's not the other way around. You didn't sign up with the coach just because they wanted you to. Like, you are hiring them. They work for you.
Exactly.
And you really gotta, you have the power to direct how
Yeah.
that dynamics is going to go. And if it's not working, you can move on.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So
At the end of the day, it's your money, and especially if you're not getting the results that you're paying for,
hmm
you got to make sure that you got to move on, because that was the biggest thing for my last race. It was like I tell people all the time, I felt like I paid for a loss, and most people don't understand that, because they're like, well, you didn't think you was going to win the marathon. And I'm like, of course I didn't. I'm not saying I lost in me and like I wasn't the first one over the finish line. I mean, I lost as I paid for the hotel. I paid for, my nutrition, which is expensive.
yep,
That's money coming out of your own household.
yep,
And then also, you know as well, with a spouse, you're uprooting somebody else's life to come out and to support you. And chances
yeah,
are the weather ain't good.
never.
There ain't nowhere
It's
to sit.
cold. Yep, it's
Most of
cold.
these races, they don't make it easy on people, especially the marathons.
Uh,
Like, I don't even think my wife could see me until the end of the
yeah,
marathon in
they
Philly.
see you at the gun, and then they see you at the tape, and that's it.
Right, right. So when you put all of that into perspective, if you're not getting what you paid for, or you're not getting the results that you're paying for, it's only right that you have to adjust.
Yeah, I
Make
mean,
it
why
right.
wouldn't you? I mean, I know a lot of people are like non-confrontational. They don't want to offend someone, and there's a way you can do it. Make a move without being offensive.
Right.
Still maintain friendly relationships, but
Exactly.
it's on you. You don't want to waste time. You don't want to waste money. You don't want to waste resources. If it's not a fit for you, you just gotta write down what you're gonna say and move on.
Just got to make a move. Got to make a
Yeah,
move,
it's,
man. I,
it's
I I really really love this conversation, man. Give everybody your socials. How can they go find you and support you when you're doing these upcoming races?
uh, let's see. My Instagram is at slip to land, SLIP, the number two, and then LAND.
Okay.
And then I'm on Facebook under just my regular name, Thaddeus Halstead. And yeah, reach out anytime.
All right, man. Well, I want to tell you good luck on this upcoming season, and yeah, this 2020 season is going to be big. I can feel it already for a lot of people. I think like we said before, just being dialed in on not only nutrition but your training and the motivation. I think for our class of the 2020 athlete, I really love I love where we're going. I feel like everybody that I've been meeting and I've been relating to is that new class of 2020 athletes. So I really
Yep.
love where we're going, and shoot, maybe we need to start a fraternity of the
Yeah.
2020 athlete or
Yeah. That
something like
the
that. That'd be
COVID
cool.
era.
Yeah, like
Oh man.
um but it was really really good having you on. You're welcome to come back on at some point. I really love having a conversation with you, and you also sharing your story. I'm sure that there's more. So yeah, man, thank you for coming on, and thank you guys for listening to this latest edition of Passion, Pain, and Progress. And if you like these videos, please like, share, and subscribe, and check out everything that we have going on. We want to continue on building on these stories and talking to the average person. And I don't say average by meaning like we're average talent, but I feel like we focus on the pros, and we don't realize the pro's job is being a pro. We have jobs, and we're still out here doing amazing and spectacular things. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Peace.
Peace. Thank you.